back. I know it's been a really long time, and I'm sure people thought like this YouTube channel's dead. She's probably not even going to do anything. But I've just had like a really big year, basically since the last time I made a YouTube video, and life has changed drastically. So I've just been kind of figuring out like how do I want to move forward with this Hello Gavriella brand, or what does that mean for me exactly? And I thought we're checking off 2025 goals, and the best way to do that was to jump right back into YouTube. I'm tired of waiting to have the perfect background. I'm tired of waiting to have the perfect face of makeup. I'm tired of having to wait for the kids to be asleep to do anything or during nap time. It's just not feasible anymore. So I was like, forget it. I'm just going to jump back in and I'm going to start sharing about the things that I love, because every day I'm still doing yarny things, whether it's knit or crochet. And I just needed a place to share that again. With Meta being a huge mess, I just decided, let's go with YouTube. Let's go back to YouTube because it's been on my list forever, and I really want to just kick things off with a bang, I guess. So today we're going to be making the Star Girl Shawl. This is a free pattern that you can follow on the YouTube tutorial, but if you want like a super low cost version, you can grab that from the link in the description, and that'll just be linked to my Ravelry shop, and you can just have the written version that way, and you don't have to hear me babble on and on and on. So before we get started, I do want to talk a little bit about the design, just because for me it's really important to kind of give the mood or the vibe and the inspiration of how I come up with my designs. And this one is so important to me for so many different reasons. It's obviously very different. It's not my previous style. And so it means a lot to me because I named it the Star Girl Shawl. Okay, so I named it the Star Girl Shawl because y'all might not all be familiar, but there's this album called Star Boy by The Weeknd, and I really like the album. But I was just kind of like, I was on my way to get some food, and I was just kind of like, what do I name this shawl? Like, how do I encapsulate like what it means to me in my pattern? Because my patterns are so much more than just here's the directions to make it. My patterns are here's a piece of my creativity, here's a piece of my mind, here's a piece of my personality, here's a piece of where I'm at right now. And so I thought Star Girl, because that album was supposed to be kind of a shedding of an old layer of self for The Weeknd, and also kind of like introducing his new style and breaking away from his past style. And that's what I want to do with the Star Girl Shawl. So I've been like so much more vibrant lately. I know it's so different from me. For me, it's really hard to even think about like what that means now, because everything is so much more bright for me. And I've gotten my mental health together. I've, really been putting in work into myself. And so I think with those things combined, I was able to really bring color back into my life, back into my personality. And that's how we got the Star Girl Shawl. So this is a really simple granny square pattern, or granny stripe shawl pattern. I'm going to show you how to do each step, and it's really just consists of a ton of colors. You can use scraps, or you can use the bundle that I use, and it has some ruffles. Like, I am obsessed with the ruffles. Ultimately, the ruffles inspired the design before I even thought about like what was going to be the body. For this pattern, I used the 40-pack bundle of linen quill minis from Pearl Soho. So they look like this. And you actually get 2 more packs. And basically the way I did it was just completely random. I was like, just let this be where your creativity is going to flow. So I added a color that I thought contrasted, and then I was like, something that's not too close, something that shakes it up a bit. And I just kind of chose that way. In the written pattern, I do have the instructions for, or I guess the color order. So if you want to make the exact same one, you can do that. So I used the 40-pack of linen quill minis, and then I used one full skein of linen quill as well for the ruffles. And it's constructed top down. It's massive, y'all. It's massive. So let me see. There's really not a right and wrong side, but here's what the full shawl looks like. So it's just, you start here, you work out, and then you just finish off with ruffles. It's a super classic pattern. I know it's nothing like super brand new, but I know it's, sorry. I know it's nothing super brand new. I know that like there's tons of YouTube tutorials on how to do it, but I wanted to share how to make this specific combination of stitches, colors, and yeah. So let's get started.
Okay, let's talk about what you're going to need. So first you're going to need a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, a 40-pack bundle of the linen quill minis from Pearl Soho, and then a full skein of the linen quill as well. And if you're not using the same yarn I'm using, you can use about 20 grams of fingering weight per color in 40 different colors. I did a total of 55 rows, but I just used only 40 colors. And you're also going to need 100 grams of fingering weight yarn for your ruffle. So that way your whole ruffle will be the same color. It uses a lot of yarn. Okay, so with your tail into your hand, your working yarn coming from the back, you're going to wrap your yarn around once, crossing over, and then twice, just like that. And I just like to hook my working yarn and my extra fingers there. So now you're going to bring your hook, you're going to insert under both of those first 2 loops, and you're going to snag that working yarn, and as you come under, you're going to twist just like this. Okay, now I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can obviously do that in whatever method you find most comfortable. I just like to keep my hands still until I have my chains done. So now I'm just going to pull this middle part out just to kind of like untangle these, but not pulling it out of anything. So just like that. And now we're going to work all of our first row into this magic ring. So I'm going to start by placing 3 double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to place 2 more. Okay, so at the very tip of our shawl, we need to chain 2. And now we want to replicate what we have on this side. So this first chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1, and then we have our 3 double crochet. So on the other side, we're going to place 3 double crochets, and now we're going to chain 1 and then place another double crochet to finish it off. But before we finish that last double crochet, we are going to introduce our new color. So this is how you'll do your color changes at the end of each row. Let's use this yellow here. Okay, so I like to just make a slip knot. Don't worry about weaving in your ends. If you want to crochet over your ends, you can, but I'll show you how I did it specifically for this shawl. So I just tighten that on a little bit, not too tight, just enough to be the same size as your hook. And now I'm going to pull through, just like that. And now I'm going to begin again by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and remember that's a double crochet plus a chain 1. And now I'm going to turn my work. So in between this first double crochet here, I'm sorry, yeah, I guess when you turn it, the first double crochet here and then that 3 double crochet cluster, we're going to place 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and we are going to just skip right over the next 3 double crochets, and we're going to be right here in the middle. I don't like to tighten up my chain until I finish row 2, so that's what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to skip over those, place 3 double crochets, And now I'm going to chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into that same chain space. Chain 2 space. All right, and so a good way to think about this is you want to replicate everything that's on one side on the other. So the first row we have 2 clusters. The next, the first row we have 2 clusters total, so 1 on each side. And for row 2, you have 2 clusters, and then we'll have 2 on the other side as well. Okay, so I did my little tip there of my shawl. You can see the tip right here. I'm going to skip over those 3 double crochets and place 3 more double crochets in between this last double crochet and those 3. Okay, and I want to replicate it, so I'm going to chain 1 and 1 last double crochet, and on the last pull through, I will introduce my next color. So I'm just using pink and yellow for this tutorial, just for a good contrast. Okay, so again, I'm going to create my slip knot, tighten it just a little bit, not too tight around my hook. And then on that last pull through, there's my color change. So again, I will chain 4, but before I continue, I'm going to go ahead and close up my magic ring so that you guys can see how to do that. Okay, so I have my tail here. Make sure you're not pulling your tail out of anything. I'm just making sure it's not all like twisted around these. Okay, so where's my tail? Nope. Yep, that was my tail. Okay, so I'm going to slowly pull it and see which one is tightening. So I see that one's tightening from this end. So I'm going to pull that one tight in order to tighten up that looser strand. Feel free to rewatch this if you need to. Okay, and see, that's just going to close up the gap. So now that I have that one loop still loose from tightening that, I'm going to now pull my tail. And that just tightens it right up. And again, you'll have all of these ends. Don't worry about that. If you want, you can trim them down to about 2 inches, but for now, I'll just leave them. Let's go ahead and finish row 3. So this is how you will continue on for the remainder of the pattern. And let's go ahead and now turn our work. So again, I'm going to place 3 double crochet into this first space right here. So I'm ultimately just skipping over 3 each time. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3. Again, I'm going to skip over these, and you're going to do that all the way down. So if you're like on a row further ahead, you'll just keep doing the same thing all the way until you get to the tip of your shawl, which is that point right here. That's where we have arrived. And you'll always place 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet into that same space. So I'm going to do that here. Oop. Just right into, oh, okay. Get it together. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 2 and into the same space, 3 more double crochet. Okay, now I'm going to just skip over, and then now I'm working up the other side. So skipping those 3, placing 3 double crochet. And now I'm going to skip these 3 and place my last 3 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. And here, I'm actually going to just finish off and pretend this is the end of my shawl. So there's 3, chain 1, and last double crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this with the last pull through, just so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so at this point, you will want to continue switching colors every other row, or I guess every row, until you have 55 rows. And the way that I like to count is just by sticking down the spine. So I see I have 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the ruffle. Okay, so I've cut that last pull through. I'm going to chain 1 just to fasten it off. Here's what I have so far, plus a little fur baby hair. And now we are going to work across the top. So this is where all of our ends are, and I'll show you how I just kind of covered those up with my full skein. So at this point, you'll be using your full skein of your linen quill or whatever fingering weight you choose, or whatever yarn you choose. If you do a different weight, cool, that works too. So I'm just gonna add a slip knot, and then I'm just going to come into the top of that last double crochet. All right, and pull through and chain 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be holding these down with my other fingers and just kind of like fixing them as I go. And I'm going to place 3 single crochet, or you could also do a half double crochet if you want, but for this pattern I did single crochet. We're going to place 3 single crochet in each color change. So like it'll be your chain 3 or your double crochet, and then your double crochet here. So I'll show you what I mean. Oh no, we're not doing doubles, we're doing singles. Okay, so I'm just working around those ends. 1, 2, 3, and this is, I also want to say, not completely necessary. I just think that it gives the project a nice clean finish, and also you don't have to weave in your ends. Who loves that? Okay, so I did 3 there. Now I'm going to skip down to the next color, still holding my ends, and as you come to more ends, you just keep fixing them, but I definitely wouldn't cut your ends shorter than 2 inches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, skipping to the next one, still holding my strands, and I'm just working over all of that. 1, 2, okay. See, as they get shorter, it's a little bit more fiddly. This will probably be the slowest part of the pattern. And to make sure that things aren't kind of getting loose back here, I like to just pull those strands, not too hard, but just to kind of like flatten them down. Okay, now I'm going to skip over to the other side. I'm working right here, and here's all my ends. And with fingering weight, your ends won't be as thick as mine are. 1, 2, and 3. Skipping to the next. 1, 2, and 3. And for the end, 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So you can see it gives you that nice clean finish. And if you feel like yours is kind of like a little bit lumpy, that's okay. It blocks out, because once we wet block our project, we'll just kind of lay it out in the shape that we want, and that edge gets a lot more uniform. Okay, so you can either cut your ends or weave in the last couple that you have. I'm just gonna leave mine for now, and we are ready to begin on our ruffle. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be placing 5 5 treble crochets into each stitch all the way down. So this is the most time consuming portion of your shawl. And if you want a less tight ruffle, you can always place 4 treble crochets in each stitch, or even 3. Let's go ahead and do 4 just for this tutorial, since we're using thicker yarn. But if you want a more roughly tight ruffle, I don't know what the word is, then you can place 5. Okay, so I'm going to begin by chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now into the same space, I'm going to go ahead and place 4 more treble crochets. So yarn over once, twice. I don't need to work over these ends. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So that counts as 1, 2, 3. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that's 4. Okay, so now we are going to be working into the tops of the stitch, not in between the clusters like we were before, but into the tops. So let's see, just right here, you can see the V. So we're going to place 4 treble crochets into that stitch. There's 3. You can kind of see it's already starting to ruffle. How cute is that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way down, and I'll meet you here at the tip. Okay, so now that we're here at the tip, we are going to kind of do the same thing that we were doing when we were working our clusters. So we are going to place 4, or if you're doing the 5 ruffle, you can 4 or 5. We're going to place 4 treble crochets, chain 2, and then 4 triple crochets into that tip. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you'll just move your stitches if you feel like they're getting all like bunched up. It is a ruffle after all. So I'm going to chain 2 and then 4 more. 1, 2. Oh, supposed to be doing trebles. Okay, make sure you're doing trebles, not double crochets for your ruffle. I'm just going to continue on. Okay, so we've done that, and now we're going to continue doing the same thing we did on this side all the way up here. So I'll meet you back at this tip. To the end here, you'll just end by placing 4 more treble crochets. All right. After you've done that, you can just slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet, and you are all set. I'll go ahead and fasten this off by chaining 1 and pulling that tight, and you'll have your finished shawl. Once you're ready to block, you can go ahead and fix your ruffles. I like to just kind of like put like them up and then down, up and then down, up and then down, just kind of like that to make them look a little bit more uniform. But obviously with the fingering weight, this will look a lot different, like the pattern. And that is how you create your Star Girl shawl. From here, you can block, weave in your ends, whatever you want to do, whatever, I guess, process you use to block your projects. But remember, if you want written instructions, including the color order that I used for my specific shawl, you can always find that in the discounted pattern that's in the description. All right, thanks guys. Bye.